In today's video, I'll be going over all of the new sneak peeks we've gotten over the past few months on the newest fruits and bosses that'll be coming to RELL. We've gotten a bunch of new content, and I'm pretty excited for the release of this game. So let's get straight into it. So, like I said, I'll be going over all of the new fruits, meaning I won't be covering the old ones. If you would like to see those old fruits, I'd recommend just checking it out in their official Discord. But real quick, I wanted to go over all of the confirmed fruits coming into the game on release. And just so you know, this list isn't in order from how you see them on the screen. We got Flame, Sand, Light, Love, Magma, Ice, Smoke, Revive, Dough, Paw, Barrier, Buddha, Bomb, Chop 1, which is likely going to be the human fruit that Chopper uses in the anime. Then we got Venom, Falcon, String, Soul, Phoenix, Gravity, Yamato Fox, which is a pretty odd name. Then we have Bison, Dinosaur, Giraffe, Operation, Dark, Dragon, Leopard, Gomu, Gura, which is Quake, and Goro, which is Lightning. And finally, we have Wolf and Chop. So, we're getting a pretty big list of fruits on release. But now, let's move on to some leaks we've gotten, specifically about Brook's Devil Fruit, the Revive Fruit. Here's a few pictures which show the fruit's transformation and one of its moves where it can spawn skeletons. Now, let's move on to some of Leopard's new models. You may have seen before Leopard's old transformation, and it looked pretty weird. So instead of keeping it, they completely changed both models for the human form and the lion form, and I think it looks a lot better. Now we have a lot of stuff for the dragon fruit, specifically its transformations, and they all look amazing. So let me show you them. It's definitely much better from before, since now it looks closer to the original transformation in the anime. Next up, we have some new models and animations for the dinosaur, or Allosaurus fruit. You may have seen this one before, but they had to unfortunately change the model of the transformation because of some problems they had with the old modelers. Luckily, it looks a lot better now. Here we have some of its attacks in-game. Here, we have a small change. The Light Fruit's weapons have been remade, so yes, Light will be getting its own set of light weapons to choose from, and they remade them because before, they were pretty boring. Next up, we have some gameplay footage of the new Phoenix flying mode. This isn't a full transformation, and instead, you keep your regular body, but you'll also have the wings and feet of Phoenix. There's a few more sneak peeks of fruits being used in-game, so I'll show you the rest of them, starting with Quake. Here, we have the new and improved Gravity Fruit. It's gone through some tiny changes to make it look and feel a bit better. Here, we have some of its meteor moves. I'm not going to show everything because it gets pretty boring, so instead, I'll just show you the cool stuff like this. The next leak we have is of the Ice Fruit, so here it is. We get to see most of its moves in action, and like the rest of the fruits, it looks amazing. If you're wondering why there's no audio for any of these, it's because for most of them, they have copyrighted music in the background, so I can't play it. The next thing we have is actually from the subscriber sneak peeks, so a lot of people haven't seen this one. This is a blurry image of the Buddha fruit, and I wanted to show you guys it, because from what I know, we have yet to get any leaks of Buddha in the normal channel. But that's pretty much it for all of the new fruits in RELL Seas. Like I said at the start of the video, if you would like to see all of the old fruits that have been completed, I'd recommend just checking it out on their actual channel. I didn't include them because they're all almost 2 years old now, so most people have seen them already. Anyways, let's move on to all of the new bosses that have been confirmed. We'll be starting with this giant boss, and when I mean giant, I mean your character is the size of one of his toes. This boss is obviously inspired by Oars, the giant from the anime. We do have one more image of this boss, and this one actually shows just how big he is in game. Here, we have a few more giant bosses. Starting with this guy, who's one of the villains of the Dressrosa arc in the anime, and this guy might be even bigger than the last one we saw. I'm happy to see actual giant bosses in this game, because most One Piece games don't like to make their bosses big, for some reason. We have a few more pretty big bosses, not as big as the last two we saw, but these are still pretty big guys. We actually have gameplay of how this one will fight, and if you haven't noticed yet, these two bosses are Dory and Brogy from the anime, so there's a chance we'll have to fight these two guys together at once. Also, these moves are likely to change, since this clip is pretty old now, so don't expect this to be the final thing. Here, we actually have one more giant in the game, and we can see his entire model. This seems to be just a reskin of the last boss we saw, who's on the right side. I'm guessing they changed the model because of copyright reasons, which is why you see a lot of models look a little bit different from their original design in One Piece. We have a few more tinier bosses, starting with this guy. I'm not entirely sure if this is a boss. It could be just an enemy that spawns, but what I do know is that this guy will spawn on the Impel Down Island, which is pretty much just an underwater prison. Here's another boss, and you may recognize this guy because he's a pretty big boss in a lot of One Piece games. In the actual show, his name is Gecko Moria, and he's supposed to be much bigger. I'm not sure if they just scaled him down just for this picture, or he's actually this size in the game. But either way, he looks pretty cool. Next up, we have a few smaller mini-bosses, so I'm gonna go through them pretty quickly, and also because this video is getting pretty long. This boss is actually confirmed to be the tutorial boss of the game, and we see it in the second RELL Seas movie. This fight goes on for a really long time, so I'll cut it for you guys, cause it's just a lot of running around and doing nothing. You get to fight this lion right after the tutorial boss I just showed you a second ago, and the cool part is that it has its own cutscene. Now I'm gonna say it again. Remember that all of this stuff is still a work in progress, so none of it is completely finished. And I say that because I can see some parts of this are kinda off, and I don't want people to think that this is the final product. And finally, we have another lion boss. But this one is a lot cooler and has a much more detailed moveset. Like before, I'm not gonna play the whole thing. And there's also no audio because in the original clip, there is this very loud copyrighted music, so I don't want to risk it. Anyways, that's gonna be it for today's video. If you made it to the end, thank you. And if you want to see more RELL C videos, leave a like and comment what you'd like to see next. Anyways, see ya.